Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of War Infinite Panels. I'm joined by my spooky cackling partner, Sarah. Yes, as you may know, we're getting into the spooky mood. I currently don't feel much fear now because real life is scary enough. But let's go into that.
Yeah. Just because 2020 has been a year of hell doesn't mean that you can't also enjoy some spooky times with someone special or multiple someone specials, depending on how many demons you have living in your closet.
Yeah. And well, luckily though, we don't have to worry about things being scary because we can start living in the future. And I by that segue into DC's newest comic, uh, I guess event happening called DC Future State, where they'll be jumping fast forward to the future of providing what characters will be in the future, such as Wonder Woman will now be a Brazilian woman, South America with dark skin, not that light skinned Latino stuff. I mean, no offense to light skinned Latinos, but it is kind of not fair to not see people with darker skin representation in general.
Amen.
So that's kind of cool. They also changing how Batman will be in the future and some other things. Personally, from my take of it, it looks like they're trying to attempt or at least dive into what made Marvel successful in the in the mid 2000s, the all new, all different Marvel, where they decided to change up the roster by putting prominent people of color in front, such as Miss Marvel and women like Squirrel Girl and Captain Marvel. And let's see if the market takes to that. But since this is an event being the future, it can be interesting. I hope it's successful. I hope that they stick with some of these properties and people buy them because diversity in comics is important, as well as it also gives a breath of fresh air because you know there are like five different Spider-Mans and all of them kind of have different problems, and I'm okay with that.
I got 99 Spider-Man, and all of them have emotional trauma.
Yeah, yeah. So, how did you feel about DC's initiative to this? Like, we're gonna, straight up go into not only a future, but have maybe more diverse comic characters.
I definitely think, and this is not to shit on DC fans, DC fans tend to be a lot more resistant to diversity, if only because they tend to be like the more entrenched, more um I don't want to say conservative. They tend to be the more traditionalist comic readers, and they're like, well, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And it's just like nobody's fixing anything, guys. It's just they're saying, hey, wouldn't it be nice if considering that the Amazon is in South America, that they look more like they're from South America and not, you know, white. And everyone's like, no. And we're like, okay, that's fine, DC. But I want to see what they do with it. I want to see what writers they get on, and how the stories unfold. And then also, you know, DC has a bad habit of rebooting, and I would really, really hate to see them go through this effort, take a chance, give some new voices space, and then if the sales don't immediately go through the roof or whatever it is that they're looking for the sales to do, they go, oh, you know what, fuck it, never mind, we changed our minds. Like, don't, give this a real shot, please.
I hope that works out for them too. And also because like when it comes to DC diversity, it's very limited in characters, and that's something that it's hard for people to like see in some aspects. Is like, well, we got XX. Like for example, segue again. I'm doing well with these segues.
So many
DC will be
segues.
Yes, DC will now be having on HBO Max a new Green Lantern show, and a new Green Lanterns has been produced for the show for HBO Max. Will be we're gonna The lanterns chosen so far will be Guy Gardner, Irish white guy who has anger issues. I mean, that's Guy Gardner in a nutshell. He was a Red Lantern at one point in the comics. You
Oh,
got
fun.
Jessica Cruz, who is the Latino representation. She's a Green Lantern, but really has a kind of fill out on her own. And then you got Simon Baz, who is a former criminal and Muslim person that is now a Green Lantern. And I'm like, he kind of feels a bit of stereotyping for reading him in a couple of issues with Green Lantern Corps. And I'm like, this is two out of three of those diversity options aren't kind of filled out. One of them could be considered racist, and one of them is just an Irish white guy. So,
And one of them is just
diversity.
the Irish white guy.
Yeah, with anger issues and red hair.
We love it. We love to see it.
You love to see you love to see it. Even though Guy Gardner has a storied history of being hilarious, he's the one who got punched out by Batman in JLI. People know what I'm talking about back in the day. But in general, it would be nice to have Jessica Cruz rounded out of being a better character and Simon Bass being less, a bit problematic. That's the term. That's the right term. Problematic.
He's problematic.
Right.
He's got
But
issues.
so
Get it? Because he's
basically,
a comic book.
yeah. Da, 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 da. But seriously, I'm hoping for success for the show, and I'm happy that they didn't go for the tried and true, Hal Jordan, that white pace hero who just came up and saved the day. And I hate him because he's so boring compared to the other Lanterns. I mean, my Lantern I grew up with was Kyle Rayner, and um, John Stewart.
Love
Those were
John
my
Stewart.
Lanterns. John is great.
John's the
and
best.
and we've rarely seen them since in the comics, or even rarely see them in higher mainstream media. So I'm like, okay, I'll take a back seat to Jessica Cruz and Simon Bass getting a chance. And I know you're going Guy Gardner, but I'm just like, anytime we get Kyle or John would be great, but no Hal Jordan. I'm just so tired of Hal
I
Jordan.
also think the reason that they're not bringing back Hal Jordan is because basically they would have to sort of explain away the whole Green Lantern movie thing, you know?
Oh yeah, yeah, with Ryan Reynolds who
Yep, they're
makes
like,
constant jokes about it.
yeah, they'd be like, why do you look so different, Hal? And then nobody wants that. Nobody wants your stupid meta jokes. Nobody wants your dumb shit that like makes no sense, please.
But we laughed at it at Deadpool.
Yeah, but that's because it's Deadpool. Like, I'm pretty sure Deadpool could just like set a man like actually on fire on screen and we'd still laugh.
Sam He's actually done it in a comic before, so I can't not deny that.
Yeah, makes sense. So,
Uh, and anyway, more good news about DC. Michael B. Jordan wants to produce a Static Shock movie.
well, not once he is producing a Static Shock movie. The deal has been
Oh, it's
inked.
already he is doing it. Ooh, all right, we're getting there,
Yes.
boys.
I know, very exciting. So if you guys didn't watch Static Shock because you're not 90s babies and or you have bad taste, um,
I know you have that.
you're gonna have to fill it in because it's been a long time since I've seen the show. But basically, it was a show about a kid who, like, for some reason, weirdly enough, Kamala Khan and Ms. Marvel gets attacked or like becomes exposed to some sort of like weird gas,
Yeah, some
and he
chemicals. Yeah,
and he gets some dope powers that basically makes him able to use electricity to fly, to attack people. He's just great, and then he's got his best friend who's super smart, um, basically acting as his Robin or his Oracle. I guess is more fitting of a
he's more like his. Honestly, sometimes he's just Jiminy Cricket.
yeah.
Yeah,
Why do
but
you do this? Cause I want to. Damn it.
yeah, and the thing about Static Shock that make such a great character is the TV show was phenomenal, even though it moved away from the OG comic back in the day. Because in the OG comic, the difference was is that the redheaded girl, I forgot her name, was actually more the main character more than his friend Guy. But Static Shock Virgil was dealing with a lot of young black problems while being a hero, which was like the predecessor to Miles Morales. He was a
Yes.
precursor to he was a precursor to the minority teen hero and was actually a minority. So, I that's why I always appreciate Shock 4 from the TV show, and the comics are good. And DC has said they're interested in bringing back the property, Milestone Media, and printing them again. So I'm hoping for the best. But
Yeah.
yeah, I hope it will be successful because, you know, Into the Spider Verse was successful.
Yeah,
And,
and I
you
mean
know,
Michael B. Jordan has obviously he was in Black Panther. He's also in Raising Dion, I believe it is.
I believe so.
Yeah, and that's another black superhero property, which is awesome. Which I really have been meaning to watch, but then again, there's like 90 million other things that need to be watched. So that's going to be interesting. And again, it's a really high nostalgia factor for people, especially our age, who super loved Static Shock. Um,
Yeah.
so that's going to be really great to see, and I'm excited to see what they choose to do with the property.
Yeah, because for years people have been screaming, "Bring back Static Shock." People for years been screaming, "Bring back Virgil Hawkins, bring back the Family." Because he is a character that was beloved. He was even on TV shows. He was like in one episode in Batman Beyond as an older person. He was in
Oh
Justice League Unlimited
yeah,
at one point.
that was amazing.
Yeah, he's such a cool character and does so many things. Like I said, he not only he was the proto. the proto version of, I would say, without him, you wouldn't have the ideas of Kamala Khan or Miles Morales and etc. He did it perfectly right, and it felt realistic. He wasn't just some, I have powers, screw you guys, I'm responsible now. Oh, I have powers. I have problems in my people, my city. My best friend's dad's a racist. This isn't good.
Yeah. Wasn't his best friend also gay?
I
Or was
don't
that in the
recall.
comics?
I had to check in the comic. I think you could be right on that, but I have to double check. But yeah, he dealt with, real stuff.
He was cute. I'm just saying he was cute. He could get it.
Yeah. And speaking of things that can get it, that's more Rainbow. There's why Lumberjanes will be on TV soon.
Lumberjanes. Sorry.
Yeah. So yeah, Noelle Stevenson's hit comic with Erica Henderson. Although I can't remember all those creators. There's a lot of people.
There were a lot of people who worked on the comic.
Like 5+ people.
So many people. But
And
yes,
yeah.
so that's going to be made as a series for HBO Max. In fact, if you look on the Outerhaven at our news item, you can actually see what the style of the show is going to look like. Stevenson, of course, worked on the very popular Netflix She-Ra series.
Yeah.
And so, she's definitely got TV production down. I am not worried at all. It's gonna be really good.
Yeah.
So yeah, the style of the TV show obviously looks very different from the style of the comic itself, mostly because it just doesn't lend itself well, I think, to motion.
Yeah, and two, it's in the comic. All the characters are drawn with different faces and different styles, and that can be a pain to animate all the time.
That's true. That's true. You're totally right. But it's going to be interesting to see how that pans out. Lumberjanes is an incredibly popular comic series, especially as far as indie comics goes. Um, so it'll be cool to sort of see what they choose to do with it.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what happens and how far they go into the arc, the spooky camp and everything. Hopefully they'll include the good boys from across the lake. I miss those good boys.
Them
But
good boys.
them good boys, yeah. But like I said, if you haven't read the webcomic, sorry, the comic. It's printed by Boom Studios. It's a really good comic. It definitely helped put. I mean, I don't want to say Boss Richie would be in denial about this when it sold him, but that did put your printing press on the map, for at least in modern era's sake.
Yeah, and I believe also, I don't know if I'm just associating them in my mind because it's like big group of girls go on an adventure. But I also know Paper Girls is getting a series, and that Boom Comics also, or am I
No,
just
that's Image. That's Brian
that's
K. Vaughan and Cliff Chang, and they're awesome too. So I feel like Paper Girls feels more to me like closer to Stranger Things because it has very similarities to it. But yes, Paper Girls is another good series too. I don't believe it's finished as well. Frank A. Vaughn only finished Saga, I think.
well,
But
Saga's not done yet, it's just on hiatus.
that's some hiatus.
Yeah, don't if they end it where they ended it, I would find someone and I would kick them in the face.
That's true.
I'd be like, "Excuse you, what are you doing?"
Right. And speaking of things that's going to also be on the silver screen or the big screen, Aldous Hodge will be in the Hawkman movie for
Woo!
DC. Yeah, that talented actor from I gotta remember the show, and I feel bad for not remembering the show. Straight Outta Compton. He was in Straight Outta Compton.
Which is a movie, not a show.
Yeah, movie. There we go. See, I forget these things. I watch too much Netflix. Everything is one thing now.
Everything is one thing, what does it matter?
Yeah, but honestly, Mr. Hodge is a talented actor. I've seen him before and other things, and I think that he was a great decision to be put in this production. I hope that the overall product is good. Oh my God, I also forgot. He was in that movie, Hidden Figures. I totally forgot about that. The movie with the black girls doing math and
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
rocket
yeah,
ship.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, he was in there.
the NASA movie.
The
Who was he?
NASA.
Was he someone's husband?
Yeah, he was.
Okay. I just that's what I love about the movie. Like, who was he? Was he someone's husband instead of like who was she? Someone's wife?
Yeah,
Haha.
that old trope. Oh, I was in a movie. Were you someone's husband? Were you someone's wife? I was in the movie.
I was in the movie. You are just a supporting character. You have no cool things of your own to say.
Gotcha. And speaking of unsupporting thing we found out recently due to COVID, the destruction of our Lord, everything's kind of been pushed back to a later date. Like every movie's been pushed to 2021 or even later.
Yes, so Wonder Woman's being pushed back. Black Widow's being pushed back. A lot of the mainstream ones are getting further and further pushed back as theaters are slowly reopening. I actually just heard today that for the area that I live in, that some theaters will be opening or permitted to reopen at the end of the month. So that's going to be interesting. Again, I don't understand. And here's my problem. So I'm gonna be real with y'all. My main problem is that you cannot guarantee in a theater, especially in the dark, that everybody's wearing their masks. And
Yes.
that is a problem. And I mean, maybe there are ways to go around it. Like maybe obviously limited capacity is a huge thing, right? That's a big one. But you could also put plexiglass in between seats, um, you know, or have like UV lights. I don't, and also like having to clean those seats
Yeah.
every time. So I don't think it's a great idea. I understand why movie theaters are desperate to open, but it just seems like a bad idea.
Yeah. The thing, though, is what they could do is I'm going to go to tear off topic here. So in Japan, mostly for this, I watch wrestling. New Japan Pro Wrestling has done this thing where they have people sit between seats. They put little stickers that you cannot sit here if you chose this seat. Making people know you can't sit next to each other with limited space.
Mhm.
There is plexiglass for the announcers in between them, and they cleaned the ring like every other two matches. So in my thing to do in movie theaters, you clean the movie after every movie. You make them wait an hour or two after the cleaning to make sure it's affected, and then people watch another movie. So at best, we get 3 or 4 movies a day instead of every 6 movies a day.
Yeah, I mean the yeah, for me mostly it's just like how do you I mean for like those reclining cinemas where like the seating is more limited anyway.
Yeah,
Like those I could see a little better because again, much more limited seating. Um but I just don't know how you do that for like an IMAX theater.
exactly. They're gonna have to change how they let people in, remove seats. As I mentioned before, clean, enforce proper spacing. That's important.
Yeah.
And people just have not to be, I'll say plain, not to be assholes. Because I know there's always going to be a jerk off everywhere you go. They have to
Yeah, so
stop.
that's why I'm like, ugh. So I don't super know. It really sucks. It really does, but we'll figure it out. Life does go on. Um, so uh, there will be movies in 2021. I personally wish that we could have more drive-ins. Like I would be fine to go to it, because in my area we have been having drive-ins. The problem is for urban areas where it's like, well, one, no one has a car, and two, there is no space for a drive-in. You're like, right, those
Yes.
guys. Which is where Matt lives. Matt lives in a more urban area, and I live in a more suburban, rural area. But you know what? I ain't even mad about it because one, drive-throughs, and two, pie stands. Hello,
Yeah,
pie stands. Um,
true. And
but
oh, go ahead,
oh,
go ahead.
I think we were both gonna segue
Yeah, oh, well, the
into the
predictable
next
stuff.
news.
Yeah, the next news is important is that because of movie theaters having limited capacity, one major movie chain, Regals, is going out of business or on their way out of the business, to be more precise.
Yeah, so Regal is one of the major chains in the United States. And they will be shutting down operations. It really isn't much of a surprise considering again, there's just no going to see movies during a fucking pandemic because being in a room with other people for 2 hours or more at a time while they're eating, drinking, laughing, sneezing, coughing, yawning, generally not being observed by other human beings, um, makes it sort of hard to make sure that nobody does bad things like they're not supposed to. So Regal will be shutting down operations. This still leaves lots of theaters out there. There's United Artists and AMC or slash AMC Lowe's. I used
Hmm?
to have a Lowe's and now it's an AMC Lowe's. There's also Showcase Cinemas. There's also your Angelica Cinemas, IFC Cinemas, also your small town cinemas. If you have ever needed a time more to go to your local cinema and buy a gift card, it might not be a bad idea to, do that this Christmas slash Hanukkah slash holiday season in general.
Happy Kwanzaa for the rest of us. Happy
It's
Kwanzaa for
and Kwanzaa or Festivus for the rest of us.
Yeah.
Um,
No, but all seriousness, I think this would, in a very serious tone, will actually affect local, more like there'll be more chance for local, um, you know, local theaters to have a chance to, in the already crowded market, as well as maybe it would, in my opinion, drive the price down for movies in general. Because I feel like going to the movie as a date or even on your own, I feel the ticket prices will kill me since the whole point is sell concessions. That's what kills me. Yet again, I'm a little bit on the not richer side of the spectrum.
yeah, so it is unfortunate. Also, a lot of well, I mean, so Disney just recently came out with the news. This isn't exactly comics related, but we'll talk about it. Disney recently announced that Pixar's new movie Soul,
Yeah.
that's going to be coming out directly to Disney Plus. And not like they did with Mulan, where you have to pay $30, because one, that's bullshit. I ain't paying
Yeah,
$30
that
for
was too
shit.
much.
I mean, to be fair, I would pay $30 for a Pixar movie before I paid $30 for a live action Disney movie.
Fair.
Um, but that's fine. So it's going to be coming out in late December around Christmas time. And the question sort of arose, especially with our editor in chief Keith, is like, why the fuck don't they just do that with Black Widow or like any number of different properties? And I think they are really still holding out hope that like in a couple of weeks, in a couple of months, by 2021, we'll have this more under control and we can go out in public again. Now, does that seem to be the case? I don't know, because we have our good friends, the Republicans, and all the conservative people who are like, this isn't a real disease.
No matter how many of them keep dying from it, like the mayor from Tennessee did.
And not all conservative or Republicans. I mean, conservatives in other countries are like, this
Yeah,
is real and we are scared. It's just the American conservatives who are like, and some of them, not all, but a good portion of them are like, if I die from COVID, then I die. It's like, yeah, see, that's not the problem. The problem is that you will then take out a lot of other people, and those people
exactly.
didn't deserve to die because you're stupid. People like,
Yeah.
you
So the
know,
lesson is wear a
people who work in
mask and
restaurants.
wash your hands.
Yeah. Wash your hands, wear a mask, stay at home if you don't absolutely have to. You know what I mean? Like, it's fine to go out. Like, I'm a big proponent of like, it's fall. Like, let's go apple picking. Let's go pick up pies from the farm stand. Let's go for nice walks because the foliage is beautiful and it's crisp. And like, I just did a virtual 5K, like for fun. But what I mean is like, don't go to the grocery store if you really don't have to go to the grocery store, because then you're in a room with a lot of fucking people who you have no idea where they've been or what they've been doing. Or like, I miss my friends, but I don't let them get in the car with me, unless it's an emergency or like they have absolutely no choice, and then we're both wearing our masks and one of us sits in I drive and the other person sits in the back, so we're not breathing in directly in each other's faces. Like you gotta be really smart about this, and I just don't trust people to be smart enough about fucking
Yeah.
anything to observe the rules. Like it's exhausting. It's tiring. And I've seen restaurants and other businesses sort of adapting. Like I've seen restaurants with outdoor seating where they have these like igloos and you go inside the igloo and like, you're good because you're in your igloo.
Yeah.
But I just don't foresee I foresee us going back in like a month or two. Like in November we're gonna be back in our houses, which is fine, but but like I think people really need to take this stuff seriously, and I just don't foresee it happening. And I think the movie industry is going to suffer, and I think more places are really going to have to think about streaming options and where they can put out their movies and how they can recoup back. Like, I mean, there are a lot of movies like freaking not The Coven, The Craft remake is going to come out on VOD, on video on demand, and like
Exactly.
it's probably going to make more on video on demand than it would have made in the theaters anyway.
That's true, and especially if the price point's fair enough. It's like if I say rent out. Let me think of a video movie I want to see. Um, I'll just say Black Widow for a second. Let's say Black Widow can't come to theaters because they put so much money into it, right?
Yeah.
Black Widow is 10 bucks. Yeah, I'll pay 10 bucks to see a Marvel movie. That's great. Cheaper than going to the theater.
Yeah. And even if it were like, okay, it's $15 to $20, right? Well, you get to watch it at home in your PJs with your snacks and your goodies. You can order a pizza or whatever other takeout your heart desires. You know what I mean? Like in a
And you
theater, like you
technically
have,
own it forever since it's on demand. You own it as long as
you know,
you pay
you know,
subscription.
you
Yeah.
you rent it, you rent it for $20. Like you rent it for 24 hours or 48 hours.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, some demand lets you own it forever.
No, you don't own it forever, but you know, you have a streaming service, then that's equally as valid. But anyway, back to the point. Like it is comparable. I think it just again, it's mostly just for movie theaters. And you know, I think movie studios, besides being greedy bastards, which you know they
Yeah,
are, nobody's saying they're not. Um, but you know, they're thinking about in the future when they're like, surprise, surprise, I'm back, and we're all back, and now they like are like, yeah, we're back, but like you didn't want to pay us. You put all your movies on streaming, so we're not going to air your movies. You know, I think that's one of the things that they're worried about, which is dumb.
I mean it's one of the things that people got to learn to choose in the future. I mean, it's just like the evolution of business. You know, like Netflix went from renting out tape and DVDs to a streaming service. It's an evolution of things. You got to get with it or understand the market.
Yep. So you know, we'll see. You know, and at the end of the day, it's like there's nothing much we can do, and we'll just have to see where this ends up. This spooky season, you know, thankfully the weather's been quite mild for most parts of the country. People have been able to go be outside and enjoy the weather and enjoy, you know, that those kinds of outdoor activities. And we've still been getting our spooky media, even though we can't go to the movie theaters anymore.
Yeah,
Thank God. And you know, like we've also gotten new Star Trek, new Great British Bake Off. Um, you know, lots of shows are still coming out and are being in development. In fact, fun note: Star Trek Discovery is getting a fourth season. Woo!
wow,
Woo!
that's really like a really like wow. Then
Yeah.
yet
God
again,
bless.
it's the modern technology. I'm glad the one thing about these content coming out in general. This is a little off topic. Is that like streaming service like Netflix, Disney Plus, etc. I'm glad they're able to sort of put out content to people to watch in this trying times. Like, oh, I knew the show will come out. Oh, they got it. That's great. I'm glad the
Yeah.
actors and the production team all being safe because that's a big deal, man. I don't want anyone getting sick or injured because I'm trying to be entertained here. That's just selfish.
It is, but you know, I think it's gonna be all right. You know, a little hope this Halloween, and I think speaking of hope and things that we all need to look forward to and finding ways to really celebrate that spooky season, we should slide our asses into the recommendations now. Matt, what do you recommend for our hauntingly good viewers
I
and listeners?
recommend one of my favorite classics of all time, Alan Moore's Swamp Thing. Alan Moore's Swamp Thing is like quintessential horror. It is just downright spooky. It's scary. It's very innovative for its time and still is today. The techniques he used to scare you and this it's like the very few times that I could be scared of a green man with no nose in the forest and I mean the swamp and dragging people down to this bittery doom.
Hmm.
And you could buy, I guess right now, the one way to printing it is through the Absolute Collection, which is a giant hardcover by DC. It's about, probably find it cheap, but it's a bit expensive if you want to get it that way. But you probably could find it through other prints because as much as DC may not be a fan of Alan Moore, he makes money, so they're going to keep printing his work forever. He'll find it somewhere.
Fair enough, fair enough. I originally was going to um recommend an Archie series, but I decided against it because, you know, I wanted to get actual spooky, not like, oh, baby spooky. No, no. We're going for the hardcore, have some images that are going to make your eyes melt out of your head. And so for that, we're going to an independently published comic or comic anthology called Through the Woods. It's by Emily Carroll. She wrote and drew everything herself. If you've probably seen Emily Carroll if you spent any time on Tumblr. She draws some really spooky, creepy stuff. You'll recognize the style right away. But Through the Woods is a comics anthology that she wrote, and it's got 5 different stories. about people usually having to do with the woods and the shitty, crazy things that happen in there. The style is incredibly spooky and creepy. Like, it just really gives you that feeling of like fall and autumnal darkness and just really, really haunting visuals, but also the stories themselves are beautifully laid out and thoughtful, and they never go where you expect. So if you're really looking to like cozy up with a spooky candle and some chillingly good hot chocolate, 'cause God, I love hot chocolate so much. Um, and you want to really feel the season of the witch as it was, definitely get Through the Woods. Emily Carroll, you will not regret it. Well, no, that's a lie. You will regret it late at night when you're thinking about the haunting, haunting eyes staring at you from every single fucking page, waiting for you to fall asleep so that they can take your soul away. You know, fun stuff.
Dark. And how was the fun stuff? And who was the artist for this series? Is this just one
Just
creator?
her. Yep,
This, like,
she writes and draws.
oh wow,
She's the
that's
total package.
that is spooky on two levels because it's not like, oh, can you draw that scary? No, I know exactly how to scare you. I got this. This is me.
I got this, son. Bitch, I am the night. I will
I
end
am.
you.
Oh man, and that's pretty much I think gonna cover us for this month of More Infinite Panels. You got any final thoughts for our listeners?
Uh I have many final thoughts on many final things. However, I would like to say that I wish that we could all be together enjoying the season, and I wish this pandemic would end. But more than anything, I want everybody to be safe and well, and also to remember to vote this election if you're an American.
Both of you. No, I'm seriously. Please vote. It's
Please
not a
vote.
joke. This nightmare has to stop.
Yeah, just go
Yeah,
vote.
and
Like,
I guess my final thoughts. My final thoughts are: stay safe, wash your hands, take care of yourself. Please vote. And pumpkin spice latte is not worth your life. I just want you people know that.
yeah, no.
Not worth your life.
I think we are both on team pumpkin spice lattes are overrated. Now, do I
Yeah,
enjoy a nice pumpkin spice latte or a pumpkin scone or other pumpkin-y treats? I do, but
yeah,
it's not a lifestyle, guys.
yeah.
Relax.
That's the only thing I can say. I'm happy about this pandemic. I don't see people just losing their minds. Oh, pumpkin spice! And like just smashing windows and everything. Nope, it's can't do it. So that's just that's one thing I'm happy for.
Yeah, no,
That
I
nightmare
mean
is over.
pumpkin spice is lovely, but you know what? You know what the real flavor of the season is? Peppermint mocha.
Peppermint mocha is the dope. That is truly my jam.
See, this is why we're good co-hosts. Like, we both agree peppermint mocha is where it's at.
Yeah, pretty much. Anyway, I will. I guess it's time for us to end this podcast. Thank you guys for listening. Be sure to follow the Outer Haven on all social medias. Be sure to follow this podcast where it's posted. And I guess that covers it. We'll see you guys at the next issue later.
Later.